What's going on, Internet? Iron Jordan here. Today we're going to talk about my predictions for the Set 11 ban list. For those of you who may or may not know, we get a new ban list before every new set. That doesn't always mean that there will be cards on the ban list, doesn't mean that there will always be changes, but it's been a while since we got a ban list announcement where there weren't any changes. So we're going to start with my first prediction, which is a card that I think is actually going to go nowhere. I think this card is going to stay legal at 4, and I think it's going to be just fine, and that's Omni After Image Slash. I have a couple reasons why I believe this. I don't have any particular love for this card. I don't own any copies of this card, so it's not like I play it or anything. But this card has a lot of answers to it. All of the attack floodgates, so Toppo, Dormant Potential, there's a new Bardot coming out in the new set that does basically the same thing. Flying Nimbus, you can crush up all the tokens, all that other good stuff. This card has a lot of answers. On top of that, it's really the only thing that Blue has in terms of consistent, good beaters or boss monsters or whatever you want to call them. Now, here's the second prediction. Yes, this card I think is going nowhere. If cards like Toppo, Dormant Potential, and stuff like that ever get hit or ever get brought into, fairness, whatever you want to call it, then I think the Booney will go. Omni, whatever his name is. Then I think he can go. But for now, I think he's fine. Now we're going to move on to a card that I think will get banned, and that's Bibbidi Primeval Conjurer. So, looking at the argument for a Booney and why he's fine is the reason why, on the other head, I think that Bibbidi is not fine. Bibbidi is a super combo, so it's a 4 of and all your black decks. Your leader has to be, well, all your energy has to be black. Your leader doesn't even have to be black. All your energy just has to be black. And this card can get really powerful. I've had it used against me, and I've used it for 20k, 25k, all that good stuff. This card, in combination with a double strike Champa on top of a leader or a unison card, is uninteractable, essentially. There's one card in the game, two cards in the game, that interact with this, and that's Jocko from set 1, which returns a card back to your opponent's hand from their combo area. And I believe that there is a East Kai, North Kai, South Kai. It's from set 5 that does the same thing. I think Bibby's a little too powerful. Unlike Omni, where the counters to Omni are very much played in main deck. Dormant's very much played in main deck. So is Toppo, so is Nimbus, all this other stuff, right? The Bardot will be as well, the new Bardot, which we'll talk about today. The answers to Bibbidi are not advisable main deck picks unless you're specifically trying to counter this card. So if this card is very prevalent in your meta, obviously you'll play Jockos and stuff like that. But I don't think this card is very healthy for the game. I think that it is probably the most powerful super combo in the game currently, and I think for that reasons it's gone. It's a little soon for this card. It's been 2 sets, but need I remind you, they did the 2-set thing for Android 21 Violent Predator as well. And Violent Predator, in my opinion, is a much weaker card than Bibbidi. So, moving on to a card that I think will never come back. I'm sorry, Cell fans. I'm sorry. This card's at 1. It's going to stay at 1. And here are my reasons behind that. When Bandai first hit this card, and when Bandai banned Gogeta, and when Bandai even banned Violent Predator, they told us, hey, we really want to remove the feeling of non-games, of bad feelings, stuff like that from our game. This card, in my opinion, is not even very good right now. Cell Chain is not even very good right now. I think that if you put Cell Chain in Awakened Cell, in Surge Cell, that deck actually gets worse. I don't think that's the issue here, though. The issue here at hand is that this card generates too many bad feelings. There's not much worse than getting your entire hand ripped out on turn 3. So I think this card's staying gone. I'm sorry, guys. I know that UCL players love to brigade about this card, but I just don't think it's happening. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Next, we're going to move on to my wish list. Might get some heat for this, but this is just my personal opinion. Cards that I think they're just a little too good. This Sun Gohan leader. If you tap out against this leader on turn 1 while you're on the draw, you just die. And I think that's really bad. I think that it's the same thing as Cell. It generates a really bad feeling. Nobody likes to die on turn 2. It's part of the reason why Surge got hit so hard back in the day. And I think this card needs to go, just plain and simple. I think that this card could potentially get an errata that would make it a little more fair, but I'm not quite sure what that is. So I think that the card just kind of needs to go. That's just my opinion. I don't think it'll go anywhere because it's a leader, and it again it's 2 sets old. I don't think it'll go anywhere, but this card generates nothing but bad feelings, and it makes me not want to play the game. So that is my first wish list card. The second one is, ironically, a card that helps to combat Gohan is Toppo Righteous Aid. I think that this card is really bad for the game. I think that cards like it are very bad for the game. The floodgate effect really makes mid range almost impossible to play, and it makes fair aggro actually impossible to play. Yes, this card is not the best card in the game, but it is definitely one of the best cards in the game. And if you're playing red, your deck is just strictly worse if you don't have 4 of these. That's just how this goes. And it's unfortunate that this card is a necessity because cards like this exist. In the future, in the next week or so, we're probably going to do a video talking about floodgates and their relationship with aggro decks, why both of these things have to exist because of each other, and why Bandai's card design team really needs to step it up in terms of stuff like this. Now we're going to talk about a new card, which is Super Saiyan Bardot the Tenacious. I don't think this card is going anywhere. I'm not trying to call for this card to be banned. I'm not saying that it's broke or anything like that. The card's not even out yet. I actually think this card's very fair, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. The reason why I wanted to talk about this card is because I think this is Toppo done correctly. This card can only be played on your turn, so your opponent has their turn completely planned out. You don't have the surprise of Toppo being played. Now, obviously, if you're playing against red, you know this is coming. But you get to plan out your turn ahead of time, and on top of that, it has a very hard restriction of you can only play one every other turn. So I think this is a very fair card. I think this is dormant potential, and I think this is Toppo done appropriately, done fairly. Whereas I think that Toppo is not. It's actually a reason why I think Toppo can be banned, is because Bandai prints this card and they kind of acknowledge, like, hey, maybe this is the best way to do this kind of effect less oppressively. You know what I mean? I would put Dormant Potential on this list because I think it's just as bad, if not worse, than Toppo for the health of the game. But again, like I said, because of decks like this and Peel Off and AOD and Vegets and stuff like that, I know that these cards have to exist. I just wish they didn't. And again, I'll touch all of that in a later video. But for now, I think good job Bandai on this one. This is Floodgates done properly, and I think it's actually a point in Toppo's banning favor. So that's just how I feel about it. And that's my predictions. To run it back, we'll go ahead and do an overview. I think Omni's fine. I think Bibbidi's gone. I think Cell is staying limited. And my wish list is Gohan and Toppo. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all that cool stuff. And I'll tell you guys in the next one.